Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Irn-Cru podcast, an NFL podcast made in Scotland by NFL lovers. You are listening to and watching the Review Crew. I am your host, Brian, the conscience of Cleveland Donlan. It's week 2, folks. We have had 2 full weeks. It's actually 2 full weeks as well because we're recording a day late today because we had some issues yesterday. So we've actually had the chance to watch Monday Night Football for the change. So we had 2 full weeks of NFL glory to keep us going. This week, we are going to be reviewing 5 of the big games for the weekend behind us. But don't you worry, as always, we are going to make sure that we cover our kickoff question and our statistic of the week. And remember, you can stay on board with all things Gridiron Crew on Twitter, on Instagram, on Twitch, on YouTube. Chuck us a like, chuck us a subscribe. You can catch us wherever you get your podcasts from. Now, as always, I am joined by some of the finest and some of the shiny newest crew members tonight. So, first, he is our resident mountain man, but he has come back down to earth with a bang, just like his beloved Bengals. Stu, how are you doing, sir?
To be honest, I was doing pretty good. I kind of had some time. I had some time out there at the weekend. As you say, I was off in the mountains. I was up in the Rockies, kind of a place near, actually, Rocky Mountain House. So I was up there doing some hiking. Let me tell you, it was kind of very Lord of the Rings-esque because it was as if I was trying to make my way down out of the Emyn Wheel. If you know Lord of the Rings,
did you catch any of the passes that Burrow overthrew your way around? Did they
Well, no, I mean, no, I see your point with that. But thanks, Brian. I know you're gonna. I haven't spoke to you since actually we played week 1, so I've been waiting on the ribbon kind of thing. I've been waiting for it coming. You and your Browns pounding us that first week.
But I'm too big for my boots this week, unfortunately. Right, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to go from one man who was high in the mountains to another man who was flying high for a whole 4 snaps, and then the 5th snap happened, and that wasn't the snap that he wanted to happen. It is John. How are you doing, mate?
I'm really good, thanks. Bit disappointed after the weekend, but we'll get onto that later.
Don't you worry, that we will. It's a tricky time to be a Jets fan. You had all that hope, and now you're being milf-hunted into irrelevance again, probably. It's always hope. Right, well, as I say, a shiny new crew member with us as well tonight. So he joins us from the Asleep at Work podcast. But don't worry, he is awake now, and he's here to tell us all things Lions. Welcome, Fletch. How are you doing, mate? Tell us a wee bit about yourself, who you follow, how you get into the game.
Yeah, so I am what would be called, in general terms, a masochist. So I've decided about 10 years ago that I would be utterly ridiculous and support the Detroit Lions, but I do feel like I feel in good company with a Browns and a Bengals fan. Like I've never felt
a Jets fan.
Never felt so at home.
There's going to be a whole section of the podcast where we just get big cords of rope and whip ourselves over the shoulder. We clearly all hate ourselves.
So, so I support the Detroit Lions, and I have done since for about just over 10 years. I kind of got into the Lions, one, again, through kind of pure torture. I support Manchester City in regular football. I don't know what you're thinking over the last 15 years. I've been a City fan for a lot longer. I missed the dark times, so I went after it.
As long as you're a City fan in the 90s, it's okay.
But kind of, I love music. I'm a sound engineer. I kind of grew myself up on hip hop. I'm white. I got into it through Eminem. It happens. So, but obviously then got into Detroit. I met a lot of wonderful people from Detroit over the years. So I've kind of felt a love and an affinity for the city, which unfortunately also added on the only city with all 4 major sports teams, and all of them are shit. So, but as you mentioned, I'm from the Asleep at Work podcast. It's kind of a podcast I produce through my own company. I talked to British NFL fans. I've had one of your own guys, Dan, on recently, just talking about how you discover the NFL, why you choose your teams. Because again, like coming across a Browns, a Bengals, and a Jets fan, they're not the most popular teams around the world. There isn't that kind of New England Patriots over the last 20 years. There isn't your Chiefs over the last few years.
There are literally dozens of us out there. Dozens.
Oh, yeah. But there's not that whole kind of, the ones who, just so happened to support the Chiefs over the last couple of years, or the Patriots a couple of years before that. I know a couple who also started supporting the Bucks about 3 years ago. I wonder why.
Hey, to be fair, I'm considering starting to support the Bucks now.
That's just
now that Baker's there.
Yeah,
I can join that ship. Right. Well, thank you very much, Fletch, and I'm looking forward to getting to know a lot more about your thoughts and your feelings about games, particularly week 2, and a lot more in the future as well. But as is tradition, folks, we are going to get things going this week with our kick-off question of the week. Now, it kind of leads into one of the games we are going to talk about earlier, so I'm not going to try and steal too much thunder for that, because it will come up. But this week, we did see the New York Giants pull together an absolutely incredible comeback victory. So, gentlemen, my question to you all is, what is your favourite all-time sporting comeback? Now, it can be in any sport, it can be recent, it can be far off into the past. What do we think? Well, everybody loves a comfy behind win. Everybody loves it when the underdog gets one over on the favourite. What is your favourite comfy behind victory? John, I'll start with yourself, mate. What is your favourite comeback you can think of in all of sport?
I think the one, I'm a big football fan, so it was actually a game I was at. It was an Edinburgh derby, and we were 4-2 down in the 90th minute, and we managed to score 2 goals in like 2 minutes, and it was just absolute mayhem in the stands and stuff. It was just, the comeback was, it just didn't look believable and stuff. It just took my breath away and stuff. And plus, it was the first Edinburgh derby I was at as a person. So
we love it. We see that's got a bit of everything, because it's got the big sporting rivalry, it's got the being down with very little time to go, and it's got the drama in the stands. That's what a good comeback needs. Stu, I'll come to you. Fletch, you can round us off on this one, mate. Stu, what is your big comeback?
See, this one's pretty tough to choose one, because I'm not only Fletch, I'm kind of like you. I'm a bit of a masochist, because I'm also a Kilmarnock fan. So not only do I support the Bengals, I support Kilmarnock as well, and in soccer.
You support the mighty Kilmarnock.
The mighty Killy till I pie is my fantasy team name online, just to give them some shout out. I'm doing pretty well, probably better than Killy all this season. But anyway, I digress. I think if I have to choose one though, I'm going to go back to the NFL, and I'm totally going with recency bias here, and I'm going to say from a couple of years ago when we were playing the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. So obviously not last year when we lost, but the year before when we came back and won in the second half. Because, to be honest, I knew we were playing well and we looked good, but going by the way Studs was talking, Mr. Chief, it sounded like, he thought it was done. The Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl again. It was all over. But the way we came back and the way we were able to close it out, and the way the defense came up really big, and just Lou Anarumo with worked his magic, rejigged things, had us kind of sitting on top, and then you had Money Mac able to kind of send the kick in overtime just for us to win. Yeah, that was quite special, mainly for an in the group fantasy rival reason as well. So that's my pick.
I enjoyed that one primarily because I enjoy watching anybody that Studs follows lose. So that was pleasant for me. My one, I'm going to keep it with soccer, football, primarily because I just love saying this club's name. So it was one of Celtic's come from behind victories in Europe, beating Shakhtar Karagandhi. When Celtic 2-0 down in Europe actually came back and won away in Europe, which in and of itself is a bloody thing. But coming back,
You scored a goal on the road.
I
And
know.
you're more than one.
Really?
I know.
That was a great game.
I mean, a Kelly fan, I can't talk because last time we were in Europe, it didn't go well.
Right, okay, so that was mine. Fletch, you're going to round us off before we get into the big games of the week, mate. What is your number one sporting comeback story that's just got a wee special place in your heart?
Yeah, I've mentioned I'm a Manchester City fan. I think there's only one answer realistically, and it's Aguero against QPR.
Yeah. I knew it.
There can't be anything else. It's still one of those moments that, like, yeah, I've said it enough time in public. I'm not going to embarrass my wife or my daughter anymore by saying any more about it like this. But it's the being 2-1 down with 4 minutes to go. I was living in Old Trafford at the time, literally around the corner from the from the stadium. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and I think the amount of sports fans who not even Manchester City fans who I've spoke to over the years who've gone, I will never forget where I was when that goal went in, and I had no dog in the fight. It can't be anything other than that one for me.
It is the magic of sports, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing quite like a big sporting come from behind. As you say, the drama, the tension, and then that absolute, hopefully, elation and not deflation. Is hopefully your team's the one that made the come from behind and you weren't caught from behind. That huge relief you get is something else. Right, well, folks, that is us nice and loosened up, nice and warmed up, ready to get going. So it's time to talk about the games of the week. Now, as I said earlier, we are a little bit late this week, so we're very, very sorry that we weren't out yesterday and we weren't waiting for you this morning for your walk to work, your train ride to work. But it does mean that we can make mention of all of week two's slate of games. Now, we're going to go through, as we do, 5 of the games. We're going to give them a wee rundown, what our big moments from these games were, and then we will do the rest in one. So we are going to get started with John, who's going to kick us off tonight. And John, you are going to walk us through. It was Thursday night football. It was the so close to the Super Bowl, Philadelphia Eagles, or so close to the ring, Philadelphia Eagles against Daddy Cool Kirk. But Kirk is something else in prime time, as we all know. So talk to me, mate. Talk me through the Vikings Eagles.
I think I'll talk you through the big moments. Was Devontae Smith, 2 monster catches, and you've got to give hats off to Jalen Hurts as well. He had like the monster arm to throw the balls. You don't really see much from him, to be honest. It's usually like the rushes we're talking about with Jalen Hurts. So that's my first point. I think other point is you've just talked about Kirk Cousins turning the ball over, prime time. That's him, isn't it? So nothing more to say on that matter. But positive for the Vikings is they traded for TJ Hawkinson last year. Guy's an absolute beast at tight end.
Monster.
Yeah, he's a monster. I think he's like he's going to take over the mantle from the likes of probably the 2 top tight ends. If you're talking fantasy, is probably Kittle and Kelsey. So that I think going back to Jalen Hurts, probably got the best QB push from like less than 3 yards out. They'll always do that.
Hang on a minute, John. Are you trying to tell me that the Philadelphia Eagles deployed a quarterback push?
Yes, I am.
Heavens forfend. Oh.
Yeah, they perfected it. Like the other teams try and copy it, and they fail miserably most times. So,
like, see, as a point, do we think this is because, like, does Jalen Hurts just have like like a really like juicy ass that makes it easy to grab and push. Is that what he has? Is that the secret? Does he wear like those? You remember those like for the early 2000s? Those like joggies you used to get with juicy written across the back end. Is that what Hurts has going?
No,
Is that
I
what
think
makes it work?
No, I think it's something like I think he's got a deal going with Kim Kardashian or something, something along their lines and stuff. I think it's she.
Oh, John's
Well-
disappeared in his rear.
Oh!
He's with us.
And he's also switched sides. That was quite interesting to watch.
Yeah, so I think another like two players also to talk about for the Eagles as well. Jake Elliott getting a 61-yard field goal. Starting to see more of these monster field goals. Obviously, I think Justin Tucker still holds the record for the longest field goal. So I think it was 66 yards.
Yep,
Was it
Mr.
no, was it-
Automatic himself.
Was it not 68 yards and he's done it twice or something like that, I think?
Yeah.
Don't
Is
talk
it
about
60?
that, please.
Brian.
Thank you very much. The less we talk about that, the better, please. Thank you very much.
I mean, again, in the mutual masochist, like, the whole masochist thing as well. Like, we have to play Justin Tucker twice a year,
Twice.
and I've
Twice a
watched
year.
the man every game against us just be Mr. Automatic kind of thing. Although we'll talk about that later when we get to the Bengals game. But yeah, I totally understand the Tucker pain.
No, but
Right,
like
do
the
you know what,
worst
John?
thing
I'm
is,
going to
like,
give you a last bit. This is my last question for you, right? On the Vikes Eagles game, because I like to take a piss at Kirk Cousins too. But Kirk Cousins, that game went 31 for 44, 364 yards, 4 touchdowns, a passer rating of 125.6. Surely, and yes, there were fumbles. Yes, he made some critical mistakes, but surely this one lies solely at the feet of a Vikings defensive unit that allowed DeAndre Swift of all people to put up 175 yards.
Yeah, I think if you can't get off the field, like we'll talk about that in my team's game later. But if you can't get off the field, then you've got big problems. You can't do if Kirk Cousins is sitting on the bench or whoever, the whole offense is sitting on the bench, then they're not going to be scoring points, are they? So it's as simple as that. It's a simple terminology, and I think to give the Vikings a bit of another shout out, I think the rookie wide receiver Jordan Addison got his first touchdown. So I think that to end on a positive note for the Vikings, I think that's a good.
72 yards and a touchdown for Addison.
Yeah.
Certainly looking good so far this year.
Yeah. So.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, John. Right, we are going to move. We're going to move from prime time to Sunday, and I have to bring him down to earth with a bump because, as you say, it's okay, but because I'm sure Stu is going to tell me that it's still the preseason in week 2. Stu, talk me through divisional game, no less. Second divisional game, and neither of them went well. Ravens at Bengals. Talk to me.
I mean, you know what? I'm going to because originally this morning I thought I'm going to be going on this today and I'm going to be talking about the sky is falling, everything is doomed, the forests are all burning down, the tigers are on the run, and they've, we're done kind of thing. But after, because I rewatched the highlights or whatever of the game this morning, I realised that doesn't show you the whole picture. I actually saw a lot of good in it as well, and fair play to the Ravens. The Ravens just executed kind of thing. Lamar looked fantastic, and again, maybe it's just like a bit of the whole Stockholm syndrome thing. But I'm a big Lamar fan, even though I'm a Bengals fan. I'm actually a big Lamar fan, so I if we're going to lose,
ladies and gentlemen, I can qualify. Stu has consistently for a while been a big fan of Lamar. He's not at it. He's not jumping on a bandwagon. He has consistently shown love.
Yeah, because like I mean, that's the thing though, is like if we are going to lose to the Ravens, I would rather see it be through Lamar playing great, their defense doing well, just that kind of thing, and the same time for us leaving nothing on the pitch. And what I would say is that for the Bengals, yeah, originally I was going to come on here and have this big rant about how we're completely screwed, but I watched that again and was like, you know what? It's week 2 of preseason, so I don't think we're screwed at all. Like, by the time, there was a few good drives in there. Burrow, even with the injury, he's looking better. The passes are getting through. There was a bunch of clutch plays to Higgins and to Chase. There was that one pass that could have been a touchdown that Chase just couldn't hold on to. And I mean, again, that was just good coverage by the cornerback. So I can't really fault Chase there either. But Burrow put the pass in the right spot. What I will say, and this is my slight, whilst I still have time here, rant regarding injuries. Do you remember all the way back in the preseason where we had an episode where we talked about backup quarterbacks?
Yes.
And who was there?
Job.
Yeah, and one of the things I talked about was, well, okay, easiest job in the league, but during the actual preseason, not the 0-2 start preseason that the Bengals are going through, I talked about how Browning and Seaman, or Simeon, however you pronounce his name, it might not be Seaman, I will say Seaman, but
anyway. The Good Irn-Cru After Dark special, yeah.
Yeah, but basically I talked about how both of those guys had to really go for it during the actual preseason, once Burrow was injured, to try and stake their claim for that job. Neither really impressed me all that much. And now that we're 2 weeks in and we've lost both games, and Burrow apparently he looked pretty rough coming off the field at the end. It's a soft tissue injury, so as we all know, it's like you can't strap those, you can't really do anything, you're just hoping it gets better. And it's not going to get...
Is Stu building up to we need to bench Burrow for one of the backups?
Well, what I'm saying is we do not have that option. Kind of thing, because it's like we've left ourselves short, and that's like one thing during the summer was I looked at it and went, okay, I didn't think we should be going and grabbing like Gardner Minshew or someone like that, but at the same time I was sitting going, there were decent backup quarterback options floating around that maybe we could have invested a bit better than we did. Like, no offense to Jake Browning, he is capable, but he does it more with his legs than his arm, so the teams know it. If Burrow goes out and Browning goes in, we know that the ball's being run. So right now, until Burrow is better, we might be hooped, but are we going to end up injuring him? That's now my worry, kind of thing. Yeah. But we look good.
And it is the big thing, but because you have had to cope without the Burrow injury, or with Burrow being injured before, and I don't think cope's really the word. To be fair, that's a bit harsh, because you take any team's starting quarterback out and they're stuffed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but there is the element of protecting them. I'll put them onto you as well. Are you worried about Chase? That's another game where what did they come away with in that one? 5 receptions, 31 yards? That is not the near far wherever Jamar that we know and love for last year. Where's the connection?
I think it's one of those things where, again, watching back this morning and in the cold light of day and stuff, he was getting double teamed a lot, which obviously he knows that's what he is and that's what's going to happen to him. But it did mean guys like Higgins and Irv Smith, who maybe could have reeled another couple in, but he's looking like he's starting to get a connection now with Burrow, which is nice. But T. Higgins played very well, and Tyler Boyd, kind of limited targets, but the guy's clutch kind of thing. Like, you throw the ball his way when you need a first down, he's probably going to bring it down, kind of thing. So for Chase, I'm not worried. Like, there's gonna be a game soon where he explodes and he goes for like 200 yards and gets like 3 touchdowns or something. But I think it does come with the territory, though. If you're going to be basically double teamed, you're going to leave other people open. So I think we're maybe seeing more a result of that rather than, oh no, Chase has suddenly lost it, because the guy's not lost it. It's coming. Let's just say it's coming.
As soon as he stops thinking about those elves that have been tormenting him, he'll be fine.
That's it. Yeah. The Keebler elves. They're in his brain.
Okay, folks. Thank you very much. We're going to move on. We're going to keep it moving. We're going to keep us going. And we're going to go to Fletch, and he is going to talk to us all about his beloved Lions and the battle with Gino and the boys from Seattle. Fletch, talk to me. Put your heart in your sleeve. Tell me where it hurts, mate.
Everywhere. I don't know what goes on. I don't know why, of everyone, we can't stop Geno Smith from looking like prime Dan Marino. it was the same under a previous regime where Mitch Trubisky would do the same thing. All of a sudden, he'd be the best quarterback to have ever played the game as soon as he turns up. But I think we had I'll be very honest. I think there's very similar to most games. There's a lot of positives to take from it. It's a game that we lost last year, 48-45. Looking at it this year, by the end of regulation time, it was 31-31. So we were a lot of points better off in terms of defense this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing that cost us though was we lost the turnover battle. I think it was 2-3-0. Got through his pick six. Yeah, David Montgomery with the fumble, which gave them short field position. The defense couldn't cover a nosebleed. I don't know. I don't know what I'm making up phrases on the spot here, but like the defense couldn't cover anything. The D line was I wouldn't say terrible, because actually looking back, I realized what was going on. Our interior defensive line is to the point where no one cares. Absolutely nobody cares. The only worry you've got is Aleem McNeil maybe playing on the outside. You've got a bit of Romeo Okwara coming on the outside. Josh Pascal was missing, and Aiden Hutchinson. So Aiden Hutchinson's getting chips on the first block and then getting double teamed. At that point, our edges are ineffective. Our whole D line's ineffective. Geno Smith's got 12 years if he wants. He can have a cup of tea and a biscuit and then throw it, waiting for someone to get open.
So, to be fair, Gino's an older gentleman as well, so that's actually exceptionally considerate of to give him that time to have his wee cup of tea.
And the fact that they've also gone to the retirement home, they found Geno Smith in and found another old lineman who was like 41. I think he's still 41 now. Like, but you look, it was a great. If you're a neutral, it's a great game because it was offensively. It had everything. It had some big plays. It had a lot of the kind of marching up the field. I think coaching wise, Dan Campbell made a couple of mistakes. There's the 4th and 3 where he goes for it, gives them short field position, and when your defense can't stop a cold, can't stop like fucking a nosebleed count, whatever. When your defense can't do anything,
you try and think of more ways to say can't stop anything.
When your defense can't do anything right, the worst thing you can then do is go, right, okay, then, well, we'll just give Seattle as little field to go down as possible because that's a useful thing for us to do. But it's one of those, again, like I say, it's one of those games. Both sides of the, if you're neutral watching it, both sides of the ball, very exciting. As a Lions fan, though, I can't help but be disappointed because despite the 2 missed field goals from Seattle, I feel like there were points where we left a lot of points out there on the field and kept giving Seattle good field positions. We threw away the character getting called for us because apparently we brought back a 10. We were 10 points behind at some point in the 4th quarter. Yeah, that's all well and good, but we were 7 points ahead at the half, 3 points ahead at the quarter, at the 3rd quarter. Like, it's all well and good saying, well done, we came from 10 points behind. But we also Seattle also came from behind in that game, which it should have never got to that point. So
tell you what, my big question then with Detroit at the minute, are you worried that you're basically going to become a wee bit of a sideshow team? Now, but what I mean by that, because we all know Detroit on offense, Goff has looked, frankly, electric. He's looked great. He's looked really, really brilliant. Amon-Ra has looked fantastic. Okay, Gibbs hasn't got going yet. Everybody was very, very excited about him. It's kind of been the Monty show. That, I reckon, most folks see Detroit are being reasonably sensible and they're just going to ease Gibbs in as the season progresses. But as you said yourself, you can't stop a nosebleed. And we all know the old saying, offense wins games, defense wins championships. Do you have the worry that unless you address the other side of the ball, you're just going to get into these exceptionally entertaining games, but keep getting stuffed at the critical moment?
I don't think so, no, because if you look last season, the defense was even worse than it is now for the first half of last season. Then, like, we can't stop a nosebleed now. We couldn't have stopped it last year. We couldn't stop anything last year, and we were giving up those. I think the Eagles, we gave up nearly 40 points to. The Seahawks, we gave up 48 to. There was loads of games where we were giving up loads of points, and then in the second half of the season, as much as you never want to see anyone get fired, We fired Aubrey Pleasant, the DB's coach, and all of a sudden the whole backfield looked different. And that's when you're talking in that second half of the season, Kirby Joseph became Aaron Rodgers' father. You're talking the amount of the defense, especially the DBs, looked a completely different team. So, and I know that through watching over the last couple of years, Aaron Glenn, if he can do anything, it's change as the season goes. He's not good at starting anything, but he's he's great at finishing and making the adjustments as he goes along. We've lost a couple of guys out through injuries. CJ Gardner-Johnson out for the season, potentially. Tracy Walker's back, who missed half the season last year. Couple of guys not looking great. I think we'll be fine. It'll be a rough couple of weeks. One thing we're good at is stopping the run. I think we're a top 10 run stuffers. And at the end of the day, we've got Falcons at the weekend, and all they have is the run.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
As little confidence as I have in, I say as little confidence. I'm not overly confident about our DBs, but I'm confident. I'm confident against them if we can force Desmond Ridder to throw. I think that's okay. We can deal with that.
It's not a strength, and for a quarterback, that's very, very an unpleasant trait to have. Right, okay, exactly. Thank you very much for that. We are going to keep it moving, we're going to keep rolling. We're going to go on to our next game, and for a lot of people, this was the big game of the week. Stu, you are going to talk us through this one. We are going to talk about the G-Men. The G-Men, and a bit of a surprise package. The Cardinals, who've not looked for moments like a complete tire fire. They've sort of looked like a passable NFL team, despite their record. So, Stu, talk to me about New York, the G-Men, and Arizona. How did that one play?
You know what? This is one of those like classic games of two halves, as you would say. It was very reminiscent of what happened last year with the Vikings and the Colts.
Yes.
Kind of thing. Like, because when I was watching it, was like, this is totally reminding me of that. Like in the first half, you had the G-Men just seeming to bumble and fumble and screw things up like all over the place on both sides of the ball. Dimes looked like the bad Dimes, you know, the one we've seen. It was all the overthrown pass. Yeah, it was the bad Dimes and the bad times with Daniel Dimes. You know, he had those
Danny Nickel.
Yeah, kind of things. So it's like you had the overthrown passes, they had kind of, you know, runs getting stuffed. The play calling wasn't good from the G-Men. You could sort of telegraph whenever they were going to try and run it with Barkley. So Arizona for that first half, you know, their defense even stood up well. And that's the one thing I would say with them is, you know, clearly they're a team that's in flux. They went for it hard the last few years to try and win and never got anywhere, which was kind of a bit of a tire fire. Murray's out injured, so they have the young guy Dobbs is in, who, by the way, like first half, he looked absolutely incredible. I was like, what's going on here? He's like, you know, spraying passes. You've got Hollywood Brown looking like the Hollywood Brown that used to terrorize the Bengals. You've got Ertz, tight end. Like, I think I'm just looking at the stats. Yeah, he finished with most yards. Yeah, 56 yards, kind of 6 receptions. Wilson, he had another 3 receptions for 56 yards as well. Yeah, so anyway, like Arizona in that first half, like they were going out, they were doing everything they had to do, and then to the point that they go in at the break and they're like, what? Was it 20-7, 20-0? I think it was 20-0.
It was 20-0.
20-0. So then we go to the second half, and then all of a sudden the G-Men decide they are going back to the preseason thing again. The G-Men decide preseason is over, and all of a sudden, guys, like, you know, everyone's kind of hot take, maybe not hot take, but kind of big pick for tight end, or, you know, possibly like breakout, or having another fantastic year is going to help Dimes. Waller shows up, starts playing, kind of thing. Dimes and him suddenly realise, oh wait, I could throw the ball to you and you're going to catch it. So the G-Men start getting first down.
As I am, this is allowed.
Yeah, and then you've got Barkley. He also suddenly goes, you know what, I'm playing now. And a few of his runs were absolutely fantastic. Like, he's like dragging about 3 guys along with him, getting those first downs, getting extra yards after it, just plunging on. And anyway, it keeps going, kind of thing. And the Arizona defense to go back to what Fletch was saying earlier as well, it's that same thing of they just couldn't get off the field. And you could see them getting tired, and you could see them slowing down, and then mistakes start happening in coverage. And all of a sudden, Slayton's coming into play. He's making big catches, and before you know it, the G-men have won. And what I will say, and I'm going to bring it all the way back to the start, the very first possession of the game that the Cardinals had, the ground out, it was a good drive, but the ground out slightly early. Prater misses the field goal. Yep. That was the very first drive of the game. It was won and lost there.
Yeah.
Just to put it all on his shoulders. Like, it was, 53, 54-yard kick or something like that I think he was going for? Like, I may look it up.
It wasn't an easy kick. And to be
it wasn't easy.
He didn't miss. He shanked it.
Yeah, he completely shanked it. And that's the thing is, it was one of those where I think he was trying to make sure he had the distance. And because of that, he just, and trying to put his boot through the ball, he ended up just hooked it off to the side completely.
I mentioned about the Seahawks game where we didn't go for it on a couple of fourth downs because we've had kicker problems. Lions fans talk after. Look, if there's anyone I know as a kicker, it's Matt Prater, and he's normally money from 50 yards. It doesn't really matter. So we were talking about it. Then we were going, what if we got Matt Prater back and then he misses that? And nope.
Yeah, it's I don't know if he was overthinking it or something because same as you, like I always thought Prater from fair enough. It's not a 58 or a 60 yarder. It's like, okay, he's kind of round about that 50-yard mark. It's like it should have been in. So it's just that way. I realize it's anything happens in the game after that point, who knows? But the fact they lost by 3 points, kind of thing at the end, you just go like that field goal might have been all the difference, like for how it went, kind of thing. Going in 23-0 up at halftime, who knows what happens?
Nope, Stu's turned into a robot. He's no longer a robot.
Yeah, I'm done. My last point was on the kicker kind of thing. I just wanted to leave it on that point. But what a game, though! Like fantastic. Like
it was an incredible game. It was a fantastic watch, and it needs to be said. It's we kind of alluded to it at the start. It's what set up our kickoff question of the night. Biggest comeback since 1949 for the Giants, which is a hell of a thing. And they're much maligned. They've been taking a hell of a slagging off because let's not kid ourselves on. They went through 6 quarters of football and were 60-0 down. Through the first 6 quarters of the season. But hey, it doesn't matter who you're playing. Is one of the chaps, Murdo, giving me a shout out, one of our resident Giants fan, as I was definitely not taking the mick clean out of him and trying to take a bit of shine off the victory, saying it's only Arizona. Listen. Arizona might not be an incredible team. Arizona ain't going to get no Super Bowl this year. But there's no mugs in the NFL except the
Browns. Oh, no. But, one last thing on it. I mean, I know I mentioned him already, but like big shout out to Dobbs. Like I was impressed by him. Like he did very well. And also, Mr. now doesn't seem to have glass ankles anymore. Connor. He did a lot. He put that team on his back, like that game as well. Like he really looks good and is making sure Arizona are competitive. So props to him.
106 yards and a touchdown. You cannot ask more from your running back than that. Right, brilliant, Stu. Thank you very much. Now we are on to our final game of the week, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to talk about Broncos country. Let's ride. It is all about Denver and Washington, Broncos Commanders, from one game of 2 halves to another. And John, you are going to run us through this one, sir. So talk to me about let Russ cook.
Yeah, that was exactly my first point was as Sean Payton got Russ cooking again. But has he really? Because the problem like that he had last season is he was turning the ball over too many times, and that's exactly what he done in that game. I think like the positives, if you were a Broncos fan, was you obviously got to see Russ playing fairly well. Marvin Mims had an absolute game. Like I think it was pretty similar to the point I was talking about, like with Devontae Smith earlier. Like 2 players who had monster weeks. But another point I was want to bring up as well was maybe in the second half is Sam Howell. Is he maybe going to be this year's Brock Purdy?
Mm.
Too.
Yeah, so Sam Howell this week went as I quickly glance at his stats: 27 of 39, 299 yards, couple of touchdowns, took a couple of sacks. Which he's young, he's inexperienced.
Yeah.
These guys do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, in no picks, clean. Kept that clean. Didn't fumble. Did he fumble it? Yeah, one fumble. Wasn't lost though. Fumble that was recovered. So yeah.
Another player who had a good game as well was Brian Robinson Jr. He had a stormer of a game. I do like the ground and pound game at times. It's just it's old school football in my opinion. So and I think you can't finish this game without talking about like the final drive of the game. The hot potato. That's how I would call it. It was like a hot, or should I go more Scottish on it and call it a hot tatty?
Hey,
So
listen, that's the kind of thing like we talk about a lot. Things that you love the game for. That's one of them. See, like a Hail Mary pass. Literally, it doesn't get more dramatic. End of regulation. You're winding it up, and whoop, somebody's going to get it. And then when it hits, what was it? 4 sets of hands it hit before it got corralled in. Magical, absolutely magical.
That actually reminded me. Sorry, Fletch was like Aaron Rodgers, like Hail Mary. It reminded me of like that play a lot. So sorry.
Right, Monty Christ, John. We want Fletch to come back on. Don't be bringing things up like that now. Aye, right,
I'll let you do what you want.
Sorry, he's gone now, mate. He's gone. He can't hurt you. He can't hurt you anymore. At least not twice a year. So yeah, it was one of those ones. It did finish. The Commanders came out of that one on top. Russ absolutely cooked first half, and then they really, really fell away. So yeah, a lot's been made out of Sean Payton coming, turning Denver clean around. It's all going to be better now that he's here. Are we seeing it yet? Are we seeing it in 2 weeks that this is not the Denver for last year who were horrendous? Because, let's not kid ourselves on. They're no better off this year than they were last year. They're still 0-2.
Yeah, like, I don't think I think it's good. I think it like, there's no argument that he's a good coach, but it's hard work turning like a franchise round. Let's not get away from that. Like, I think all 4 of us sitting here could probably vouch for that. So it's not an easy job. So he's got a big job in.
Can I make a reference to the fact that historically all 4 of our teams have been less than successful?
Yeah. Just a bit.
Thanks, John. Thanks for sugarcoating that one for me, Chief. Right, okay, mate. Thank you very much. Now, folks, that draws our games of the week to a close. Now, we are not neglecting the rest of the week 2 slate, but frankly, as we've said before, I don't have enough change to put in the Lecky meter to run this pod long enough to do every game the way we would like to. So it's time for the rest in one. We went through it last week. We had a laugh with it. Gentlemen, this is all about summarising 3 hours of joy in football into one sentence. It's not easy, but I have faith in each and every one of you. Fletch, you are going to kick us off, mate, and I'm going to ask you to give me the Houston Indy game in one. What you got for me?
I'll give it in 2 words. Minshew mania.
Yes, he has such fabulous hair. He's everybody's uncle that your parents don't like you associating. Stu, we're coming over to you. Sorry, no, we're not. John, we are coming over to you for the next one. It is Tampa Bay and the Bears.
Yeah, and Vita Vita eats Bears, I think.
Love it. Stu, now we are coming to you, and I've not actually forgotten. It is Jacksonville at KC. Stu's went silent. Stu's went mute.
Am I still here?
Stu's hit a button. He's found the button to
Button.
unmute himself.
Yep.
Try again, Stu.
What I was trying to say there was, I've lost my joke now, so I'm just going to basically say what I saw. Say what you see, kind of thing, in true kind of fashion. Yeah, the Jaguars made them work for it, didn't they?
That they did. That they did. Right, okay, hopefully we'll hope that Stu's going to be smooth on the next one and he won't hit a random button. Fletch, I'm coming back to you. It was the Falcons at Green Bay. Give me it in one.
No love for love.
Oi!
Oh, that's good.
We do see as people that podcast about the NFL, we really owe Jordan Love a debt of thanks for having the surname Love, because it just lends itself to so many shit jokes.
Any major British newspapers want me for headlines,
available.
Find me on Twitter, it's fine.
Yeah, we only take a small commission. It'll be fine. John, going to come back to you. The Bills and the Raiders.
Well, to sum it up in one was they don't really like honouring their old players, do they? Because Takeo Spikes was honoured, then given the worst seat in the stadium.
Now, this is a great one. If anybody hasn't seen this is well worth sticking into Google, because he was genuinely put in one of the worst seats in the stadium.
It's absolutely embarrassing. Like, how does that even happen?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, they raided the good seats for him. Right, okay, Stu, we are coming to you, the Titans and the Chargers.
LA's defense couldn't stop the charging Titans.
Oi! Stu is also available for work on headlines, although not at high quality newspapers like Fletch. And with that, Fletch, we'll come back to you for the Rams and the Niners.
49ers home game in LA.
Yeah. Again, there's another one.
A lot of red shirts. Yeah.
A lot of red shirts in that crowd.
Yeah.
Right, okay, John, it's your last one. It's your beloved Jets. The Cowboys and the Jets. I'm very sorry we couldn't give you more than a one line for it, although to be fair, I'm fairly certain you're reasonably happy you don't need to talk about it for that long. Give me it in one, mate. I
think I've got one line, and it's Dak and Parsons MVP.
Dan will be happy to hear you say that one. Right, Stu, it's the last one for yourself. It was the East. It was the Pats and the Dolphins. Give me it in one.
Strange things happening, but Colton couldn't make the twist to get the first down.
Nice. also, ladies and gentlemen, there's layers to that one. There's layers.
Sorry, I had to go for that one.
Right. It is the penultimate game of the weekend. It was Monday Night Football. It was Carolina and the Saints. Fletch, what you got for your last one?
Can I go to bed yet? That was one of the one of the sloppiest, worst games I've watched in a long time. And I'm just going to recap this real quick. Have you ever watched a game that's really low scoring? And I guess we've all watched this for a long time. We love the sport. I can appreciate good defensive games, right? And I can tell sometimes games are low scoring and it's great defense. That was just fucking awful from start to finish. Neither team wanted to win.
Dan, Fletch will never be.
They're both going for first overall. It was
right, okay. It's going to wind up with me. It has to be me to finish it off because it was the Steelers Cleveland game, and Pittsburgh stole my chubby and left me floppy.
Oh,
I'm not even going to talk about it because I'm genuinely upset about the whole thing.
Brian, I didn't actually even, I was waiting to bring up the Chubb thing, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. It feels like kicking a puppy. Like, I think I'd rather be 0-2 now than have your 1-1 record.
Let's not talk about
no Chubb
anything because Chubb can't kick anything. Right, okay, guys, thank you very much. That was the rest in one, folks. Right, we are drawing towards the end of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. So it is time to wind things up with our statistic of the week. Now, I am bringing this one to you. Even though Stu's here, I'm still stealing the thing.
I know!
I thought of this and I liked it. So, we're back on the Cam Akers trade merry-go-round because it has been announced that he is going to get traded. There are multiple teams who are courting the idea of trading for him. My beloved Browns amongst them. But it seems every year we're talking about Cam Akers getting traded. So this is less a statistic of the week and it's more a question. You all get one answer each, and that is your whack. I'm not having any of the multiple guesses. Given we're back on this trade merry-go-round, who is the most traded player in NFL history? Now, I'll give you a wee hint. It's an active player, and it is a tied. It's a tied record. So there's a but that comes here as well. But it is a active player. I'm not giving you the position. It plays on offense, and is the most traded player in the NFL. And it's no Akers, not yet anyway. Anybody want to be brave and kick us off with a first guess, or do I need to go like it's my day job and I'm a teachery and just pick folk to answer? I'm going to go it's my day job and I'm a teachery.
I knew you were going to do it.
John, who's your guess? The most traded player. He's active. He plays on offense. No telling you teams that gives it away.
I've genuinely Nah. I've not
now, okay, Stu, going to come to you. I'll give Fletch can get the thinking time because he's the new boy. Stu, who are you going for?
This answer's wrong, but it's the first person that entered my brain. Odell Beckham Jr.
OBJ. Nice, a shout. He's seen a few trades in his time. That is incorrect, I can confirm.
Thought so, but
he won't be far off it though.
Marvin Jones. I should have said that.
Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones is amazing, and I love him so much.
I love Marvin Jones too.
He's one of my favourite players. Right.
Played for
what you got? Right, he's in.
Right, I want to take a stab at the dark. Eric
Go for it.
Dickerson.
Say it again.
That's an interesting.
Eric Dickerson.
Now, do you know what? I'm going to give you it. Now, it is Eric Dickerson is the tie. So, Eric Dickerson and Brandon Cooks are the most traded players.
What? Okay, yeah. I thought of Cooks. Yeah, I should have thought of Cooks.
4 trades each. Now, and this is where the but comes in. Cooks has went Saints, Pats, Rams, Texans, Cowboys. So he's went for the Saints to the Pats, Pats to the Rams, Rams to the Texans, Texans to the Cowboys. So he's traded 4 times. Dickerson went Rams, Colts, Raiders, Falcons, then kind of went to the Packers. He went to the Packers, but he never actually played for the Packers. So he doesn't quite get away with it. So it's a tied 4 each. There you go. There is our statistic of the week. Cam Akers might be on the trade block again, but he's not the most traded man in the NFL at the moment or ever. That man is Brandon Cooks.
Hey, Brian, just before you end it, some breaking news for you. Kareem Hunt is visiting the Browns.
The issue is he's not what we need. He's not a power back. I love Hunt and I loved him as
but he's also not Cam Akers, and he at least knows the system. So
this is very true. The Browns are clearly going to be in the market for somebody. I reckon we'll bring somebody in. It'll be some form of committee. But the season is over. Anyway, on that cheerful note, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to end our podcast for this evening. So thank you very much for joining us. And I said this last week. I'm going to say it again because I enjoyed it. I don't need to say the crew will see you through anymore because it's not the off season and we have football to look forward to in 2 days. So, folks, week 2 is over. We bring it to a close, but we will have football back Thursday night when the Niners are taking on a resurgent New York Giants, and we'll wait and see which
after one good second half. I mean, they are resurgent. It was very good.
One good second half, and I'm anointing them Super Bowl champions elect. So, folks, that is all to come. Remember, the preview crew for week 3 are going to be with you on Thursday evening. It has been fantastic to have you all with us tonight. Stay with us for future episodes. Remember, you can keep up with the crew at Twitter via @GridIronCrew. You can find us on Insta at @grid_iron_crew. Help, join the community, give us a like, give us a subscribe, get in touch. And I should actually have said earlier, big thanks to Diggs BTW7 on the Twitch. Hello, mate. Apologies we never got to your message earlier. Great to get you getting in touch, engaging with the show. And you can do the same, ladies and gentlemen. Chuck us your thoughts, chuck us your opinions. We love to hear them. And it helps inform things that we talk about on the show. So with that, we're going to wind things up. John, thank you very much for being with us this evening, mate. John, this is traditionally when you say cheers, good night. John's zoned out.
John's he's lost his sound kind of thing. He messaged on the side there.
Again. God love him.
Yep.
Stu, thank you very much for being with us again, mate. For climbing down off your pedestal and joining us low lives in the lowlands.
Thanks for having me. Like I say, I literally. There's John waving now. He waved. He's got no sound, but he waved. I literally rolled in here about 20 minutes before we were starting, so I was a little kind of rushed on. So sorry if I maybe wasn't as quick off the bat as usual. But thanks for having me again.
And last but by no means least, Fletch, it has been your first time joining us in the crew. We hope it'll be the first of many. Thank you very much for joining us, Chief.
Grateful for having you. I may not, but if anyone's not from here, I'm not actually Scottish, but I like Irn-Cru, so I feel like I'm kind of halfway there.
He's covered it. You might have noticed that his accent does give his lack of Scottish heritage away justice. Right, with that said, folks, I have been Brian, the Conscience of Cleveland Donlan. This has been the Irn-Cru review crew of week 2. Thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you next time. Good night.